Hi, welcome everyone. My name is Abhay Lonkar and welcome to this show. This is a part of a learning series coming from Next Plan Consulting. Today, we are going to discuss something which is very interesting called as understanding DNA of a mega brand. The take home for you today would be actionable insights, ideas, and tips from someone who has done it. And that someone who has done it is Mr. Alok Malik. Alok, welcome to this show. Alok has been a friend for a long time. He is a group vice president and India formulation business head for Glenmark Pharmaceuticals. Prior to joining Glenmark, he was the general manager and country head for Abbott's diagnostics business in India. Earlier to that, he worked as a commercial director for Abbott Healthcare, which was actually Piramal for over a decade, and managed acute therapy businesses in respiratory, gastrointestinal, anti-infectives, and pain management. Prior to joining Piramal Abbott, he worked for a few large Indian companies, starting from the grassroots to various leadership levels in sales and marketing. He brings with him a rich experience in sales, brand management, marketing management, and general management for over 3 decades. He has managed all the top therapies in the IPM. And obviously, you'll understand that he's the right person to talk about the DNA of a mega brand. Let me quickly introduce myself. My name is Abhay Lonkar. I have worked in this industry for the last 35 years. Worked in companies like Alchem, Sun Pharma, Unichem, Panisha Biotech, Micro Labs, and Abbott Healthcare in leadership positions. I was lucky to get associated with some big brands in the industry like Alcepro, Taxim, Lozar, Thigitor, Himaxil, Lobate, GM, and Kenacort. I represent a company which is called as Next Plan Consulting. We are a young company for about last 2 years, but we have got collectively 200 years of experience. We started in 2018 and we are focusing on pharmaceuticals. We are a group of 8 people who come from diverse backgrounds and all of us work together depending on the assignment. This is a brief background for all of us. Most of us have got more than 25 to 30 years of experience and most of us have worked in leadership positions in many companies. In the last 2 years, we have worked with almost all the who's who in the pharma industry: Sun Pharma, Abbott, Glenmark, Macleod, Torrent, Cipla, Altium, Dr. Reddy's, to name a few. So that's about us. So I will now go over to Alok. Alok, good evening and thank you very much for joining us. My first question is, what is this brand we are talking about? Can you introduce us to the brand first?
Yeah, sure. First of all, thanks, Abhay, for having me over here. And this because we are talking about a subject which has always given us a lot of interest and is a subject of mutual interest for us. Uh, as far as the mega brand that today we are going to talk about is a very old brand. It's a old, almost 50-year-old brand in the gastrointestinal therapy area, in multinational Indian companies. It is being promoted by a very well experienced field force of over 500 people in the field. In actually a primary care area where the other products within that divisions are from respiratory, anti-infectives, multivitamins, etc. and all. If I tell you a little bit about the past about this brand, uh, it has been, as far as my experience with the brand is concerned, for over a decade, when I have been part of the growth journey of this brand, where earlier, 10 years before or so, it used to get sold uh, at the trade, for the OTX push, so those trade tactics and bonus and other things, were there part of the promotion to continue to have the push in the market. Although it had a sizable prescriber base and prescription base, largely coming from general practitioners, but that was declining. So it was necessary that how to manage this brand, which was declining, prescription base, was getting sold more onto the OTX at the OTX level, had a short duration of therapy, and hence for the survival and sustenance of this brand, it was necessary that there has to be some continuous prescription flow, which can help the brand to continue to thrive in the market. If I talk about the recency factor, presently the brand is amongst the top 125 brands of the IPM, has a sales turnover of over 100 crore with a prescription base of more than 1 crore plus, and almost 40 odd thousand doctors are prescribing this, and has a molecule share of more than 90% in its category. And what I know about is the division that promotes this brand is a P1 brand for that particular division, one of the highest contributing both by revenue as well as by the EBITDA to the division. I think that's the brief history of the brand that we are going to
Oh,
talk about.
thanks, Alok. I think it looks like, I mean, when you started the journey with this brand, it was a forgotten brand. It was also promoted brand, not a very important brand for the division. So what made you and your team pick up this brand?
I think it has been a very interesting thought process that had gone into this. And many times, as we say that necessity is the mother of invention, almost a similar kind of a situation we were into it. As I said, the brand had changed hands, between Indian and multinational company, and we reached to a situation where we were quite regulated from the launch of the new products. And in IPM, almost one third of the portion of growth comes from the new products. And if you do not have a good pipeline of new products, then your growth will get truncated. And that is where we started looking at the portfolio that we already had, that which are the gems that we have in these portfolio, because we found that almost every brand that we had, which was at the super maturity stage, but they had high gross contribution, good EBITDA that it was contributing, but they were not growing from the revenue point of view, because I think they were almost thought about that these are the forgotten brands from the growth point of view, because there were other molecules were also available. And that is where we started looking into this brand, because we realized that during some kind of conversation that there is still some kind of a life that is available into this. If we do some kind of thinking, repositioning, understand the customer more, why the customers were prescribing or why have they stopped prescribing now, I think we can do something with this brand. And that is where we started journey for this brand.
Very interesting. So they say that necessity is the mother of invention. And but then, what were the key insights? What made you believe that this can be a brand which can be built into a mega brand? What were the key insights around that time?
Yeah, I think that is also a very interesting history and the stories that we could get it, because when a molecule is old, and if you are the innovator or you are the sole presenter in the market, then and not many of the studies that are available. The studies are available only when the product was introduced into the market. So we did not have any new studies, new insights coming in from the science point of view. But we were perplexed that why there is still a sizable prescriber base was still existing. While the prescribers were declining, but still the prescription base was there, that why the doctors were prescribing. So during some conversation with the field managers, because there were a lot of field managers in that team, who had worked, almost for 2 decades or so in the organization, and they had a history of promoting this brand, on a scientific basis. And during some very casual conversation, we got to know that where the doctors were prescribing these brands. So while at the OTX level, it was being promoted as a very casual brand for the walk-in patients, for some kind of say vertigo-like symptoms and all, and the retailers were dispensing it. But at the doctor's level, we found that why the brand was being prescribed, particularly by general practitioners, because they were getting very good results for any patient complaining about nausea, vomiting, along with some kind of a giddiness and all. And those symptoms, they were able to treat very well with just, within 1 to 3 days of prescribing when the patients were taking these brands. So general practitioners, particularly of the age group of 50 plus, who had seen the journey of this brand and who had experienced themselves of treating many patients, they were completely glued to this. But those general practitioners or those doctors who had come into the stream, after the introduction of say 20, 30 years of this brand, they were not very well exposed, because the pharmaceutical company changed hands, the brands kept on changing. And then that kind of a promotion probably did not happen to the new lot of doctors, and they were not exposed to this. So that was the gap that we could understand, that there was a loyal prescriber base. So from that lead that we got it from the field manager, then we approached to the general practitioners who were prescribing. Why were they prescribing? So we got insights from them that when the patient comes to them with this kind of symptoms of nausea, vomiting, giddiness or something, they need instant relief. And while there were new drugs available to treat a kind of symptoms for vertigo or vertigo in general, but they were not as effective in symptomatic relief as this particular molecule was. And that is where the exact positioning of this drug was. That is what we could understand from the doctors.
Very interesting, Alok. So I think one thing which I hear from you is that uh, the interest got picked up when you started talking to the field people, and then you realized that there is a lot of life in the brand. Uh, but was the size of the product interesting, or was the size of the market very interesting? And then second question after that is, once you got this insight, how did you move on to the marketing campaign? What were the elements of the marketing campaign which were built in?
Right. I think so. So the biggest interest came in from a couple of things. One, that the brand was thriving on prescription, while the earlier teams had decided to put it onto OTX, but we found that still, I mean, 25, 30 lakhs prescription was a huge thing. Even today, it is a huge thing.
Absolutely.
While it may be in acute therapy area also, but it was a huge thing. So there was something into it where the doctors were prescribing. So that was one point, that there is possibly a life into it. That is what we wanted to discover it, and we discovered that. So that was one. It was highly profitable, as I said. So from the investment point of view, it was not much of an issue because the brand was, self-sufficient enough that if it starts growing, it can contribute. It was not into a controlled category, so the price revision was also not an issue to that extent. So these were some of the fundamental factors that helped us to think about that. Let us work on this brand, because we found that probably this is a cash cow which was considered to be, but in our mind we realized that this cash cow can be turned into a star, and that is where we started our journey onto this. So, from the campaign's point of view, since we found that general practitioner is the first point of connect for any patient who has got such kind of symptoms. So, let us first focus on general practitioners. But the issue with the general practitioner was that they were knowing how to treat the symptoms, but they were not very good still in terms of correct diagnosis, correct referring of the patients, because it's a very complex category, which is vertigo, dizziness put together and all. And it could be because of any orthopedic reasons, it could be because of any neurological reasons, it could be because of any autological reasons, and also ENT can treat, neurophysician can treat, orthopedician can treat, so multiple specialties may get involved if the diagnosis is not correct. So what we realize is that first we need to approach general practitioners. We need to educate them on the dizziness, vertigo, symptoms, everything and all. And for that, we also need the expert's opinion. And those experts, the rightly could be either the neurophysicians or the ENT surgeons. So first, we developed a set of KOLs. We started talking to some of the KOLs, and we got some good KOLs who had worked a lot on dizziness and vertigo in that field. We got a couple of doctors from Calcutta. We got a couple of doctors from Mumbai and also from Delhi. We had a kind of an ad board, as first interaction, scientific interaction on this that we created by forming an ad board with those doctors. And we discussed that we have this product. This is what is the insight that we got it from the general practitioner point of view. Now, how do we approach about it? And that is where we started working on this. And they also gave a lot of thrust upon that education of general practitioners is a must, because they treat such kind of patients in a very different manner. And as a result, there is quite a delay in the overall treatment for the patients. And then they'll end up in a situation when it becomes very, very difficult for any consultant, to treat such patients. So then we started working on first a very simple program, that how to educate general practitioners. So certain CMEs were planned. Now it was, quite a huge thing to do CMEs for general practitioners, because general practitioners are large in number. I guess, we were meeting almost around 60,000 odd general practitioners that time in that particular division. So it was necessary that now, if you're not able to cover 60,000 and digital was not available as a medium that time, at least you should be able to cover, 15, 20% of that lot. So we thought we should cover, around say 10,000 odd consulting physician to start with. So that means we need around anything between 75 to 100 odd CMEs to cover such kind of doctors. And that was the first step that we took, from the organization point of view. It was a mega number, 100 CMEs to be done in a year for general practitioners was a big number, say 10 years before or so. And we planned.
1 minute before that, just for my understanding, you told me that the brand was basically, operating in vertigo and related area. So was there any strategic change which you did to, position the product, or you continued in vertigo and the similar type of segment?
No, very significant change we did, as I said, from the general practitioner point of view. Why the general practitioners were prescribing this? Because they were prescribing it not per se to treat vertigo, but they were prescribing it to treat the symptoms of vertigo, that is dizziness and nausea and vomiting. The moment earlier the brand was being promoted for vertigo, the moment you promote it for vertigo, the minds were off because there were
Correct.
better drugs available. So we changed that positioning from vertigo to dizziness with nausea vomiting, exactly linking to the symptoms that the doctors were actually treating those symptoms with this product.
So that's a very important take home because generally brand management starts working on indications, but a doctor doesn't see indication; he sees symptoms.
Like,
So that's a very important strategic change which happened during that time. That instead of talking about vertigo, you started focusing on the things which a doctor will see.
absolutely.
Great, and I think then for that you started. Yeah, you can go ahead.
Yeah. So I think that was the major plank to develop the communication strategy. So the whole communication strategy was revamped based on this plank, that this product is to be positioned for dizziness with nausea and vomiting. And to treat that, this is how the whole science will work. And based on this, the whole communication campaign plus CMEs plus other scientific printed material and educational material, all that was created to focus around that how to treat dizziness with nausea and vomiting.
So at that time, this GP being called for a CME must have been a very unusual thing. You're talking about 10, 15 years back.
Yeah.
At that time, it was a very unusual thing. So how was that engagement done? And I think, was it done at scale or did you do it with few doctors? How was it?
So initially we started with few doctors that, as I said, 100 CMEs in a year. So, I mean, in 12 months period of time, if you're doing 100 CMEs means around, say, 8 to 10 CMEs in a month, which was also a big thing at that point of time. But once the field force started understanding the whole thing, see, there was a lot of work done at the field force level also, because almost 60-70% of the field force was relatively new. They had not seen the science of this brand the way it was established compared to those people, those who had spent almost 2 decades in the organization. So a lot of education and training was also done at the field force level, and we brought in those KOLs whom we had, called them for the ad boards and all. We employed those KOLs also for educating the field force. So in various cycle meetings and all, we called those KOLs to share their experience. How do they treat their patients with this particular product or this particular molecule and all, which gave a lot of confidence to the field force also. So while it was a theoretical education and other things and all was being done by the training team and the medical team, but the clinical experience from the doctors was brought by those KOLs, and which gave a lot of confidence, and the team was thereafter ready to take this brand ahead, because at that time the brand was somewhere 8th or 9th in the sequence of promotion, because it was just a reminder kind of a brand, because the rest of the thing was being done at the retailer level, and we wanted to bring it as the P1 kind of a brand. So this was a huge change. So it needed a lot of conviction at the field force level also. So that alignment was also very important, which we did.
So very interesting, Alok. You also mentioned that this brand is a very old brand, and you must have had difficulties in going to the younger generation doctor, because most of the time these brands are prescribed by the senior doctors.
Yeah.
So what was the way by which you could take it to these younger doctors?
Yeah. So I think we did it in 2 ways. One, we gradually started building more and more KOLs. Okay, because initially when we had 10 to 15 doctors, we thought that it would be insufficient if we have to cover large number of general practitioners. So our large target doctors were general practitioners, but our route was through KOLs. So then we started increasing the KOLs. But KOLs, you can't go and just engage on a molecule like this, which is 50-year-old and all. So then we again worked through our ad board doctors and other medical teams and all. And then we created an enclave kind of a thing, a medical enclave kind of thing on that particular therapy area, say, for example, dizziness and vertigo and all. And we also brought in specialists from outside India and talk about what is happening in the field of vertigo, dizziness, complications, case studies, and everything, which was quite interesting even for the young generation doctors, the medium generation doctors, as well as obviously for the senior doctors. So we created this kind of a platform for doctors to come, understand what is happening at the global level, what is happening at the national level. They are sharing their experience. We also gave them an opportunity to share their clinical experience of difficult patients. Many of the doctors brought in those many queens to demonstrate the way they are treating the such kind of a patient. So we created that kind of a biannual affair for the doctor to come onto that, and that is how we created almost around 200 plus KOLs, which included young doctors as well as the old doctors. So it was a good mix, and that helped us to further propagate this product at the large scale at the various level of doctors, including the one who were getting into the stream of practice.
Oh, very excellent. Very nice. So I think what I understand is this product. A couple of, 2-3 important take-home points is one is the insights, they come from field force, they also come from doctors. Second one is many times brand management keeps on focusing on indications which are given in the medical books. But what you did was you went to what the doctor sees and you started building on symptoms. Third one is you also realize that the GPs, the moment they talk about vertigo, then they are off. But the moment you talk about symptoms which are simpler and which they see in a regular manner, so actually this, with your promotion, you started expanding the market in the hands of GPs.
Exactly.
And then subsequent to that, one more wave came in when you actually started taking this brand from the earlier generation doctors to the newer generation doctors. Also, one important thing which Alok, you are talking consistently is that a brand which is forgotten, old and all, has been consistently built on a basis of scientific material. Right? Many times, field forces and, product management believes for such brand, sampling, some gifting, tabletops is actually the only solution. But that may not be so, because this brand, which has, become such a big brand today, has been consistently built on science, which we would have thought it is forgotten. But you created platforms by which, the science became interesting for doctors and became relevant for, treatment of the patients.
Absolutely.
So, look, one of the, things which we learned was that, as Kotler says, is that marketing is too important to be left only to the marketing department. And in other words, what he was saying is that marketing should be done by every, function in the company.
Absolutely.
Was there anything like this for this brand? Was there any contribution from the other departments, etc., which came?
I think, I think that's a very important milestone in the journey of this brand. I think why I did not talk, I think that's a very important one. So correct. In the initial period, this tablet that I'm talking about of this molecule was a plain tablet costing 1 rupee. The average prescription was, almost 3 to say 7 rupees or 9 rupees or so, because 3 tablets a day, and the duration of prescription was 1 day to 7 days or so. Average was around 3 days or so. One of the meeting, with the cross-functional team, our formulation development department was talking about dispersible tablet, not dissolving tablets and all, and they were especially focusing on anti-infectives for pediatric preparations and all. Just as a curiosity, we talked about, is there any possibility for this molecule also, because we are working on this to extend the life cycle of this brand. So what we can do on this? So they said we can make not dissolving tablet, even or dispersible tablet for this also. So we thought, it is not to be prescribed to pediatric patients, so where would be the scope for this? But we thought, okay, let us try this, and then we'll find out what could be the scope for this. And one of the insight was there in the back of the mind. The doctors were saying many times they use injectables, which is also an SKU for this product. And when we had asked doctors, why do you use injectables? Because injectables were largely meant for, surgeries, or in those patients, before the surgeries, if there is any kind of a nausea, vomiting symptom is suspected, doctors will give injectables so that surgery is peaceful and all. So why general practitioners is using injectable? That is what we wanted to know. And they say that many of the time, patient is not able to swallow, they can't take water, they can't gulp water. If you give tablet, they will, puke that out also. So then we just give them the injectable so that they will have faster symptom of relief also, and they will not have the chance of, puking it out. So we thought, if it is a mouth dissolving tablet, would there be a need of water? That is what we checked with our formulation team, and they said, this mouth dissolving technology that we are working on, this patient with its own saliva can swallow this tablet.
Oh.
So that was another great milestone, which helped us that in 1 year period of time, we could bring in a mouth dissolving tablet. Since there was a technology involved, we could get a price increase also on that. And that changed the mindset of many of the doctors prescribing this product to a greater extent. We could get very fast prescription multiplication on this, and a lot of confidence for the field force, because they had something new to talk on a molecule which was almost 50 years old, on that. So that was I think a changing milestone for this particular product during that.
Excellent. Great, Alok. What is your take on, take home points? If, people have to remember 3-4 important things from this case study. What would be those 3-4 important take home points from your side?
I think based on my experience, not only with this brand, but overall through many brands, is say that one is that the brands do not have finite life. It is the human beings who have the finite life. But human beings have the capability to continue to create life for the brands. So brands, in my opinion, have infinite life. And there are all possibilities that a cash cow being considered today can become a star for you. We have, I think, aspirin as a solid example that it is still thriving for so many years, and still it has a very bright future even for the years to come. Even for COVID-19, doctors are prescribing aspirin as well along with this, and various other molecules related to aspirin, anticoagulants are being prescribed. So I think we need to keep looking at gems. We should not just put them into a category, just keep milking them and just forget them. Third important thing is, I think we also talked during our conversation, is the insights. I mean, the brand management team needs to keep looking for insights. And especially, I said, when the molecule gets older, you don't have new studies coming up. You need to think about doing studies based on doctors' experience with the patients. We need to keep getting insights from the patients, from the doctors, from the retailers, from the stockists. Everyone who is handling the product can give you the insights. So it could be within the organization, it could be outside the organization. Who is touching your product? There is possibility of getting some kind of an insight from that. And last but not the least, that for the success of any campaign, any product, there is complete integration and involvement of field forces has to be there. If that alignment is missing, the success of campaign is always a question mark. But if that alignment is there, your success of campaign or the strategy is always guaranteed. So these are, I think, my few takeaways.
Great, Alok. Thank you very much. And first of all, congratulations, because a brand which was a forgotten brand today is a 100 crore brand. And I heard you mentioning earlier that it's a #1 prescribed brand in the industry today. Is that correct?
Yeah. It has got more than 1 crore of prescriptions.
Right. So it's a #1 brand as far as prescriptions are concerned. That is a significant contribution to the industry. And I'm sure that everybody has got lots of actionable take-home points here. Some of the things which I would like to reiterate is as follows. One is, when you are talking about the brand building journey, this brand building journey has some very important components. One of the very important component which is there is insights. Insights, they come only to those minds which are open. And those minds which say that it is possible for me to do something for a brand, irrespective of a brand which is costing only which will give you only 3 rupees, 7 rupees, 10 rupees as value for the prescription, which will be very old. That's one very important take home point. The second important thing which is there is, I think it's important for the brand management team to keep on thinking, because the marketing campaigns don't evolve just by making a visual ad page.
That's true.
They get evolved when you start thinking, start talking to the doctors, you talked about ad boards. In that, one very important point which I would like to reiterate at the cost of repetition is, get into the insights so that you move from just indications. Look at what the customer sees. The customer doesn't see only indication. He diagnoses the indication.
Correct.
He sees the symptoms. So you made a very important change. Also, one more learning which is there is, for such brand building exercises, there has to be continuous intervention. I think the #1 intervention which came in for the brand was when you moved from indication to a symptom.
That's true.
Intervention came in from a brand when you started saying that it is not only in the hands of those doctors who have been traditionally prescribing. Let's take it to the doctors with the help of a scientific platform. So you did 100 CMAs, you multiplied those CMAs, and then you went to more and more doctors. The next intervention came in when you started looking at this brand from the point of view of a patient insight came in that when the patient has got vomiting and that sensation which is there, can you look at a formulation change? So don't do too many things at one point of time. Do one thing, do it completely, leverage it completely, put your shirt behind that, and take it to the final destination. But keep on looking for intervention which can take to the brand to the next level.
Absolutely.
I'm sure that the platform which has been laid and the work which has been done would continue to ensure that this brand becomes even bigger than what it is today. It's an iconic brand, and there has been a significant take home from this interview, Alok. Thank you very much for your time. It has been great to have you. So, ladies and gentlemen who are listening to this show comes to you from Nextplan Consulting. This is a part of a learning series, and we'll come back to you with more and more of this. Thank you very much. Thanks, Alok, once again.
Thank you, Abhay. Thanks a lot.